Erev Tov, everyone. It is 8 p.m. It is, well, on the east side here in the United States, here in the diaspora. This is the Maimon Beit Knesset, therefore it must be the Torah study in depth with Rabbi A and Rabbi Ancel, or Rabbi A and Rabbi A, or Rabbi A squared, or however you want to go. A Rabbi A to the second power, or whatever. Anyway, good to have you all here this evening. Let's bring in Rabbi Ancel. And you are on, sir.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, so far in the chat room we have Marshall. That's it.
Any comments on the elections?
Oh, let's not even go there. let's just say it was disappointing. Let's put it that way. Okay. But yeah, I mean, politics aside, Torah waits for no man, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got somebody else watching in the background. They'll come in. Yeah, Marshall says it was a mixed bag. Yeah, it was. Yeah, a very, very much a mixed bag.
It was a really mixed bag.
Yeah, it was interesting that it was kind of odd. And I heard it explained as a split ticket. And that's where...
But, everybody was screaming that the current administration, is screwed up. This one and this one and this one. But yet the multitude voted for Democrat.
Well, Rabbi Craig has joined us. No, what I was meant by a split ticket is it seemed like in a lot of areas, people were not voting a straight party ticket. They were actually voting, in some cases they were voting Republican in the local elections and then voting Democrat in the national elections. But whatever. I mean, it's still up in the air. There's still seats that haven't been counted, so we're not going to be. We're not going to resolve anything about it tonight. We're just going to have to wait and see. So let's get on with the Torah study, shall we?
Okay.
Okay. So we left off. Let me get you something to read there. Okay. So we are in the Sefer Shemot. We're on Parsha Vayachel, chapter 35, and we left off at verse 17.
So 17 says the hangings.
Rabbi Quaig, you can knock that off right now. I said we're done with it. We're not going to talk about politics anymore. We're talking Torah. Okay.
So the hangings of the courtyard, its pillars and its sockets, and the screen of the gate of the courtyard.
Okay, so Rashi has to say its pillar and its sockets have the word chatzer. Is that what it says? Yeah, I haven't got my magnifying glass very close. Courtyard is referred to here both in the masculine and the feminine, and similarly in many other things. The screen of the gate of the courtyard, it was a curtain spread out on the east side across the 12 middle amot of the width of the courtyard. For the courtyard was 50 amot wide, 15 amot of which were closed off on the north side, and likewise on the south. It says, and as it says, the 15 amot of the curtain to the side. Additional commentary on this basically says the vav of the amudev is in the masculine suffix, his pillars, Well, the hay of the neha is in the feminine suffix, her sockets. There are no neutral pronouns in Hebrew. Okay. It goes on to say, with regard to, where's this one at? This one is, there's some, the masculine and the feminine and similar many other things. For other examples of words that are treated as both masculine and feminine, it says to refer to Rashi in Genesis 32:9, Isaiah 35:9, and Ezekiel 2:9. Also in Tractate Kiddushin Folio 2b. Let's see. So let me get you back up here now. Okay, so we're on 18.
So the pegs of the Mishkan and the pegs of the courtyard and their ropes.
Okay, so Rashi goes on to here to say pegs, with which to insert and fasten the ends of the panels to the ground, so that they should not move in the wind. And their cords, the ropes for tying. Really no additional commentary on that one. So we'll go on to 19.
Okay, so the meshwork garments to serve in the holy garments of Aaron the Kohen Gadol, and the garments of his sons, in which to serve as Kohanim.
Okay. Rashi goes on to say here the mesh garments to cover the Aron and the Shulchan and the menorah and the Mizbeach at the time of departure for journeys, when they broke camp in the wilderness to proceed to the next encampment. No additional commentary on that. No commentary on 20 or 21. So we'll go from 20 to from 20 right to 23.
Okay. So the entire community departed from before Moses. Every man whose heart uplifted him came, and everyone whose spirit inspired him to generosity brought the offering of the Lord for the work of the tent of meetings, for all its service, and for the holy garments. The man came with the women. Every generous-hearted person brought bracelets and earrings and rings and buckles, all kinds of golden objects, and every man who waved a waving of gold to the Lord.
Okay, so surprisingly, Rashi does not have a lot of commentary on this. He says, along with the women. This means with the women and next to them. Okay. Armband. It is an ornament of gold, which is round, which is placed on the arm. It is a bracelet. And the kumaz, it is a golden implement placed over the private parts of a woman. Our rabbis explained that the kumaz as a word is made up of the first letters of the Hebrew words Kana Mekor Zama. Here is the place of lewdness. Okay. Let's see. Rashi goes on to say here, with regard to and the women and next to them, Rashi explains El in the way is in his comments to, okay, it's going back to other parts, Genesis 14, Numbers 2, Nehemiah, and so on and so forth. Let's see, anything else here? No, really no additional commentary on here. So that puts us up to 23.
Go to 23.
23 at the top.
And every man with whom was found blue, purple, or crimson wool, linen, goat hair, ram skins dyed red, or taha skins brought them.
Okay. Question. What do you understand taha skins to be? I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just saying, I've heard several interpretations of it.
Those are ram skins.
Takas?
Yeah.
Well, it talks about red dyed ram skins or taka skins. So why would it say red dyed ram skins or taka skins if there wasn't something different about them?
What is the difference?
That's why I'm asking. Now I have heard that. Okay, here's what I've heard: that the takash was a animal that existed only during the time of the Mishkan, and it went extinct shortly after that, and that its skin was like opal. It was iridescent. It would change colors as you moved around.
Never heard of it.
Okay, I've also heard that the takash skin was the skin of a unicorn.
Huh.
So there you have it. Okay, let's go back to see what Rashi has to say about this. Again, not a lot of commentary. And any man with whom there was found turquoise wool and purple wool, or scarlet wool, or hides of rams, or tachasim, they all brought.
I'm gonna check it out tomorrow.
Okay. I wish I could remember. I read one of them. I actually read in the Sefer HaGadah.
Okay.
So
everyone who set aside an offering of silver
well, hang
or
on.
copper.
Hang on.
Yeah.
There's some additional commentary as for this the different colors and stuff like that. They all brought in the beginning of the verse could have been read as the continuation of the last verse with the end of its verse as a separate sentence as follows: the men came with the women, and any man who offered an offering of gold to Hashem, and any man with whom there was found turquoise wool, or purple wool, or scarlet wool, or a pile of goats, and they brought the hides, rams, and the hides of techasim. Rashi, however, explains that both parts of our verse combine to form one distinct sentence. By concluding with they all brought, he stresses that ukol ish at the beginning of the verse is in the subject of. Well, I should really get my magnifying glass on. Chavyu at its end. In the course of this explanation, Rashi also makes it clear that all of the prefix, the vav prefix of the various materials mentioned in the verse are understood as or rather than and. Where the beginning of this verse, continuation of the last, then the vav of Verot Elim. I'm going to have to, when we go on a break, I have got to find my magnifying glass. That's all there is to it. Would have meant and, for it would be introducing a new sentence. Let's see. Okay. So that's more additional commentary than there actually was commentary. No commentary on 24, 25, or until 26. We'll just go straight through to 26.
Okay. Everyone who set aside an offering of silver or copper brought an offering for the Lord, and everyone whom acacia wood was found for any work of the servers brought it. And every wise-hearted woman spun with her hands, and they brought spun material, blue, purple, and crimson wool, and linen. And all the women whose hearts uplifted them with wisdom spun the goat hair.
Okay. So Rabbi Wyckoff says that Takash skin was actually black leather. Huh. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda says it was Tenin, uh, and named for its dye. Ah, interesting.
It's strange. I never heard of it. You know.
Yeah. Okay, I'm assuming that Rabbi Wyckoff. I'm assuming that you got that from the the Talmud, or if you got it from something else, let me know because that's one I had not heard. Huh. Okay, so 26. Rashi goes on to say, spun the goats. This was extraordinary. Now, let me see if I can get my mouth to work right here. This was extraordinary craftsmanship, for they would spin them from the fleece on the backs of the goats before it was shorn from them.
Wow.
That is interesting. Okay, now I have read that before, and I've always wondered about that. I mean, did they card it right on the back of the goat, and then I mean, it has to be carded before it's woven, and it's just okay. So maybe the further commentary can clarify this. Is from Tractate Shabbat, folio 74b. After it was shorn from the animal, goat's hair loses more and more of its luster each time it is handled. By combing or carding and spinning the fleece while it was still growing, they were able to preserve much of the luster that would have been otherwise lost. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, so we're on to 27. Oh, Rabbi Wyckoff says it's in the Talmud. Okay, so I have to look that up.
Homework for tomorrow.
Yeah, homework for tomorrow. Okay.
And the princess brought the shoham stones and filling stones for the ephod and the chosin.
Okay, so unlike the other ones, where Rashi really didn't have a whole lot to say, Rashi does have quite a bit to say about this one. Rashi goes on to elucidate, and the princess brought. The Tana Rav Nisan said, what is it that the princes saw that made them contribute first at the inauguration of the Mizbeach, while they did not contribute first in the construction of the Mishkan? But the princes had said the following: let the public contribute whatever they contribute, and what they leave wanting, we will complete. Since the public completed everything, as it says, and the work was sufficient for them, the princes said, what is there left for us to do? Therefore, as the verse states, they brought the shoham stones, etc., and only items not yet contributed. And therefore they contributed first at the inauguration of the Mizbeach. And because they lagged at the outset of the construction of the Mishkan, a letter was deleted from their name. Princes was written
Instead of
Hansim.
Hanashim, it was written Hanashim.
Hansim.
Yeah, with the additional yud.
Right. And missing the vav, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. That was 27. No commentary on 28 or 29, so we'll go right into 30.
If you want to move it up.
Right up here at the top. Delay. There's a delay.
And the spice and the oil for lighting and for the anointing oil and for the incense, every man and woman whose heart inspired them to generosity to bring for all the work that the Lord had commanded to make through Moses. The children of Israel brought a gift for the Lord. Moses said to the children of Israel, "See, the Lord has called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah."
Okay, so very little on this one. Rashi goes on to say that Hur, he was the son of Miriam.
Yep.
Now, the additional commentary on here says that from Tractate Sota, Folio 11b, when the Torah identifies somebody by name, it usually mentions the name of his father and his tribe. Rashi explains that the Torah identifies Bezalel not only by his father, but by his grandfather too, because his grandfather was a man of distinguished lineage. See also Rashi 2 and 1710 above. Alternatively, Rashi is addressing an unexpressed question. Why did Moshe have to say, "See, Hashem has called Bezalel," instead of merely appointing him to the task? By pointing out that Moshe was Bezalel's uncle, Rashi teaches that Moshe was trying to avoid charges of nepotism, which may have been forthcoming from the people who realized that Bezalel was his nephew. Of course, we know that Korach is going to make a issue out of that later on, now isn't he?
Yep.
Okay, so we're on to no commentary on 31, 32, or 33, so we will go all the way to 34.
So to do the master's weaving,
Up
to
one,
work
go
with,
back up one.
oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He has imbued him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with insight, and with the knowledge, and with the talent, all manner of craftsmanship. To do the master weaving, to work with the gold and silver and copper, with the craft of stones for setting them, and with the craft of wood to work in with every manner thoughtful work. And he put it in his heart the ability to teach both him and Oholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan.
Okay. So Rashi goes on to Oholiab of the tribe of Dan, of the lowest of the tribes, of the sons of the maidservants. Rashi goes on to say the omnipresent put him on the level of Bezalel with regard to the work of the Mishkan, who was of the greatest of the tribes, Yehudah, at the fulfillment, to fulfill that which says, "And the nobleman is not recognized ahead of the pauper." So, additional commentary on this one. Let's see. No, there's no additional commentary on it. So, okay. So, yeah, this is kind of okay. So for the rest of this, there is no commentary on 35. So why don't you go ahead and do 35?
Okay. So he imbued them with wisdom of the heart to do all sorts of work of a craftsman and a master worker, and an embroiderer with blue, purple, and crimson wool, and linen of weavers, those who do every manner of work, and master weavers.
Okay. So again, no commentary there. We'll go on to chapter 36 now. And we actually have quite, all the way from verse 1 to verse 5, there is no commentary on it. So we'll just kind of work our way down there.
Okay, so Bezalel and Oholiab and every wise-hearted man into whom God had imbued wisdom and insight to know how to do shall do all the work of the service of the holy, according to all of the Lord has commanded. And Moses called Bezalel and Oholiab and every wise-hearted man into whose heart the Lord had given wisdom, everyone whose heart lifted him up to approach to do the work. Number three. So so they took from before Moses all the offerings that the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the holy, and they brought him more gifts every morning. Then all the wise men who were doing the work of the holy came, each one from his work which they had been doing. And they spoke to Moses, saying, the people are bringing very much, more than is enough for the labor of the articles which the Lord had commanded us to do.
Okay, so Rashi goes on to say about 5, more than the labor. This means more than the necessary work for the labor. Additional commentary on this one, Rashi explains that labor here means that which is necessary for labor, for the labor. The mem prefix of mideh is not a contradiction of mean, from.
Yes.
Well, my eyesight is just getting worse. As most such prefixes usually are, rather that it is the mem of comparison that means that. Okay, so we are on to.
So Moses commanded, and they announced in the camp, saying, left no man or woman to do any work for the offering for the holy. So the people stopped bringing.
Okay, so, and the nation was held back, or stopped bringing. This word is an expression of restraint. Okay, so Rashi explains that the two appearances of the word Melecham, is that what it says?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. The work in the verse refers to different things. The first is to the bringing of these supplies, and the second to the making of the Mishkan. He also explains that the them, the word them, which is indicated by the mem suffix of dayim, refers to those who made the Mishkan. Furthermore, he introduces the idea that v'hoter is a makor, an infinitive, an idea he continues below in his comment to v'hoter. Let's see, is that... Okay, so we're on to
7.
We're on to 7. Let me scroll that up for you.
And the work was sufficient for them, for all the work, to do it and to leave over.
Okay. Why don't you do Rashi's commentary? Since
Want me to say it?
Because there's the interpretations that I have are not quite the interpretations that you have, and it's probably better to have the Rashi's interpretation going with what you're reading. Otherwise, different words are probably going to confuse things.
So, and the work was sufficient for them for all the work, and the work of bringing was sufficient to all the makers of the Mishkan, for all the work of the Mishkan to make it, and to leave over. And to leave over was like, see,
he hardened his heart.
For me, it's hard to read. And and to leave it over, and to harden his heart, and hardening his heart, and slew the Moabites, and slaying the Moabites, which that to me doesn't make sense.
Okay, let's see. The verb is an infinitive, similar to the phrase "and keep hardening his heart." Obviously, from and the word
To harden is v'hichbad,
in the phrase
and
of he kept
and to
smiting.
slew is hakut.
Yeah. And the phrase he kept saying. So he's basically just pointing out that the verb is an infinitive, like in those two statements.
Okay.
Okay.
Then all the wise-hearted people.
Oh, hang on. Let me get to the further commentary here. Actually,
Okay.
You're right. There is no further commentary, so let me just scroll that up for you because we got a long section here with no commentary.
Of the performance of the work made the Mishkan out of 10 curtains, consisting of twisted fine linen and blue, purple, and crimson wool. A cherubim designed the work of a master weaver. He made them. The length of one curtain was 28 cubits, and the width of one curtain was 4 cubits, the same measure for all curtains.
Yeah, now the cubit.
And he joined 5 of these curtains to one another, and the other 5 curtains he also joined to one another. And he made loops of blue wool on the edge of one curtain, that is at edge of the first set, and he did the same thing at the edge of the outermost curtain of the second set. He made 50 loops on the edge of one curtain, and he made 50 loops of edge on the other curtain. So the loops corresponded to one another. And he made 50 golden clasps. Okay, he made 50 golden clasps, and he fastened the curtains to one another with the clasps, so the Mishkan became one piece. And then he made curtains of goat hair for a tent over the Mishkan. He made 11 curtains. The length of each curtain was 32 cubits, and the width of one curtain was 4 cubits, the same measure for the 11 curtains. And he joined the 5 curtains by themselves, and the other 6 curtains by themselves. And he made 50 loops on the edge of the outermost curtains, first set, and he made 50 loops on the edge of the outermost curtains on the second set. And he made 50 copper clasps to fasten the tent together, so it became one. And he made a covering for the tent of ram skins dyed red, and a covering of tahash skins above. And he made the planks of the Mishkan of acacia wood upright. 10 cubits was the length of each plank, and a cubit and a half was the width of each plank. Each plank had 2 square pegs, rung like one even with the other, so that he made for all the planks of the Mishkan. And he made the planks for the Mishkan, 20 planks for the south side, and he made planks for the Mishkan, 20 planks for the southern side. And he made 40 silver sockets under the 20 planks, 2 sockets under one plank for its 2 square pegs, and 2 sockets under one plank for the 2 square pegs. And for the second side of the Mishkan, on the northern side, he made 20 planks.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Rashi has nothing to say on here, because I would think that, there would be some
what is
comments.
He going to say? Because we are given exact measurements. This has always been my question. We have the same measurements for the temple, and why we're not building it, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, I would think that he would have had comments on things like why were certain things the class certain ones were gold, certain ones were copper. There must be a reason for it.
What I think, if they would have had a diagram showing the planks and the curtains and the pegs and the you know and the sockets, that would have helped, because a picture is, like they say, 1,000 words.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so 26.
Yep. And for the western
Up,
end of the Mishkan, he made 6 planks,
up,
and he made two
up
planks
one.
on the corners of the Mishkan. Oh, did I miss?
Yeah,
Oh, and
26.
there are 40 silver sockets, 2 sockets under one plank, and 2 sockets under another plank. And the western end of the Mishkan, he made 6 planks, and he made 2 planks on the corners of the Mishkan at the end, and they were matched evenly from below, and together they matched at its top to be put into one ring, so that he make both of them for the 2 corners. And there were 8 planks for the silver sockets, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under one plank, and 2 sockets under another plank. And he made bars of acacia wood, 5 for the planks of one side of the Mishkan, and 5 bars of planks on the second side of the Mishkan, and 5 bars for the planks of the rear side of the Mishkan on the western side. And he made the middle bar to penetrate in the midst of the planks from one end to the other end. I guess that this was holding them all together.
Yeah, well, actually, there was like 3 bars, but from what I've read in the from the Sefer Haggadah,
Yeah.
they said that those bars on the outside of them that were used to hold up the planks was different than this one. This one is actually called out specifically because, according to the Agidah, is that Moshe could put the bar in the hole on one end and push it all the way through to the other end, which
So the
meant
whole
it would
Mishkan,
have to
yeah.
actually make two or three or 3 or 4 90-degree turns.
Yep. Okay, so 33. So, and he made the middle bar to penetrate in the midst of the planks from one end to the other end. And he overlaid the planks with gold, and the rings he made out of gold as holders for the bars. And he overlaid the bars with gold. And he made the dividing curtain of blue, purple, and crimson wool and twisted fine linen, the work of a master weaver. He made it in a woven cherubim design. And he made for it 4 pillars of acacia wood. And he overlaid them with gold. Their hooks were gold, and cast for them 4 silver sockets.
Okay, so we got 2 more verses.
And he made a screen for the entrance of the tent of blue, purple, and crimson wool, and twisted fine linen, the work of an embroiderer. And its 5 pillars and their hooks. And he overlaid their tops and their bands with gold, and their 5 sockets were copper.
Okay, so we did a thing on this before. I'm trying to see if I still have my papers here. Where we actually figured this out. And I don't think I have it anymore. I should have kept it. Okay. So in my version of Rashi, it keeps referring to the Amah or the Amot, which is the cubit. They're the same thing. And we know that the cubit. See, Marshall, I did remember. That the cubit was somewhere between 18 and 20 inches.
Yes.
We're not really quite sure what it was, but it was 18 to 20 inches. So it's talking about, if we go back to verse 20, talks about him making these beams from the shittim wood, which was 10 amot high. Now, if we use 18 inches, just to make it easy, that's 15 feet tall. Okay, 15 feet tall, and what is a ma and a half wide. So that would be 24 inches wide
Yep.
each beam. Okay, didn't it say that the thickness of it? I'm trying to.
The Mishkan was huge.
Well, we figured out that the if I'm remembering correctly, basing this on what's been identified as this type of wood, the weight of it, and its strength, and I think we came to find out that this thing was the wood, based on what we were looking at, and as our best guess was something like what was it? It was, if I'm remembering correctly, it was like 1,700 and some pounds per square foot. I mean, or square yard, which the each plank of that would have been roughly about two of that, which makes it almost a little over 3,000 pounds each. And then talking about the strength, which that wood was basically, I think it was actually stronger than teak. I know that. Boy, I wish I had that paperwork now. But when we came to figure out the weight of each one of these, and then you compound it by all of them, this thing was massive, and it had a tremendous amount of weight to it. So let me.
But don't forget, they were all. You had a lot of metal. You had a lot of gold. You had a lot of copper.
Right. Yeah.
Silver sockets. That adds weight.
Yeah. Well, gold is not light.
No.
I mean, copper is okay, and silver, yeah, but gold is heavy. Okay, so we are at our halfway point. Let's go ahead and take our break here.
Okay.
And then when we return, we'll. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to catch up with the chat room. I'm sorry. We'll go into, we're at chapter 37 now, and we'll hit that as soon as we get back. So everybody, stay tuned.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
It's intermission time, folks, so hurry, hurry, hurry. Step right over to our refreshment center for the most extravagant array of refreshment goodies ever assembled under one roof. Enjoy breathtaking, mouth-watering goodies, everything from a snack to a delicious full meal. At our refreshment center, you'll find a large variety of goodies to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, or your sweet tooth. So hurry, hurry, hurry. Visit our refreshment center now. The show starts in 5 minutes. The show starts in 4 minutes. The show starts in 3 minutes. The show starts in 2 minutes. The show starts in 1 minute. And now, on with the show.
And we are back. Okay, so let's bring Rabbi Ancel back on.
Here.
You're back with us now.
Okay.
Okay, so
We start with 1.
we are on chapter 37, beginning at verse 1. So,
Okay. So Bezalel made the ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. Since he devoted himself to do the work more than any other wise man, it was called by his name. The work is attributed to him alone, and that is told in the Midrash.
Okay, let's see.
And
Do
he
we have any?
overlaid it with pure gold
Oh,
from
hang on.
inside and from outside.
You're getting ahead of me.
Oh, there was more? Oh, there's more comments? Okay.
Yeah, there's
Because
some.
that's the only comment I have.
Yeah. The further commentary. That's why I like this one I got because it has
Uh-huh.
Rashi's, but it also has the further commentary after that on there.
Okay.
So Tehumah 10. Although Bezalel worked on the Mishkan with a team of wise men, this passage attributes the work to him alone because of his devotion to it. So, whoop, let's keep it over here. So you're back. You're back on.
Okay, so number 2, and he overlaid it with pure gold from the inside and the outside, and he made it with a golden crown all around. And he cast 4 golden rings for it upon its 4 corners, 2 rings on one side and 2 rings on the other side. And he made poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. And he inserted the poles into the rings from one side of the ark to carry the ark.
Okay. Sorry. We're on to 6 here.
Okay. And he made an ark cover of pure gold, 2.5 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide. And he made 2 golden cherubim. He made them of hammered work from the 2 ends of the ark cover, one cherub from one end and the other cherub from the other end. From the ark cover, he made the cherubim from its 2 ends. The cherubim had their wings spread upwards, shielding the ark. The cherubim had their wings spread upwards, holding the ark cover with their wings, with their faces towards one another. Turned toward the ark cover were the faces of the cherubim. And he made a table of acacia with 2 cubits long and 1 cubit wide, and 1.5 cubits high. He overlaid it with pure gold, and he made for it a golden crown all around. And he made it for a frame and a handbreadth wide all around, and he made a golden crown for its frame all around. And he cast for its golden rings, and he placed the rings on the 4 corners that are on its 4 legs. The rings were opposite the frame as holders for the poles with which to carry the table. And he made the poles of acacia wood, and he overlaid them with gold to carry the table. I mean, this was just extraordinary work, and this was not easy work.
The as an exercise when I was teaching, we sat down and we figured out the weight of the ark. You know, based on as close as we could come, figuring how much how thick would the gold have been, and so on and so forth, and it came out roughly to the weight of a small car, like a Volkswagen. It was actually quite heavy.
Yeah. And he made the implements that are on the table, its forms, its spoons, its half pipes, and its supports, of which it will be covered of pure gold. And he made the menorah of pure gold, of hammered work. He made the menorah, its base, its stem, its goblets, its knobs, and its flowers were all one piece with it, and 6 branches coming out from all sides, 3 menorah branches from one side and 3 menorah branches from the other side. Wow.
Yeah, from one piece of work.
Yeah. And the 6 branches coming out, on one branch a knob and a flower and 3 decorated goblets. On one branch a knob, a flower, so were 6 branches that came out of the menorah. And on the stem of the menorah were 4 decorated goblets, its knobs and its flowers. And a knob under the 2 branches from it, and a knob under the 2 branches from it, and a knob under the 2 branches From it, so for the 6 branches that came out of it, their knobs and their branches were all one piece with it. All it was one hammered piece, mass of pure gold. And he made its lamps 7, and its tongs and its scoops of pure gold. He made it he made it of a talent of pure gold, and its all implements. And he made the incense altar out of acacia wood, 1 cubit long, 1 cubit wide, square, and 2 cubits high. Its horns were one piece with it. And he overlaid it with pure gold on its top, its walls all around, and its horns. He made it from a golden crown all around. And he made 2 golden rings from underneath its crown on its 2 corners, on its 2 sides, as holders for the poles with which to carry it. He made the poles out of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. And he made the holy anointing oil and the pure incense after the art of a perfumer.
And that's the end of that chapter. So, and Rashi had absolutely no comments to make about anything in that chapter. So
Yep.
we go on now to chapter 38, verse 1.
Okay, and he made the altar for the burnt offerings of acacia woods, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits wide. The altar was square and it was 3 cubits high. He made its horns of its 4 corners. Its horns were all one piece from it, and he overlaid it with copper. And he made the implements for the altar, the pots and the shovels and the sprinkling basins and the flesh hooks and the fire pans. He made all its implements out of copper. And he made for the altar a copper grating of netting work beneath its ledge from below until its middle. And he cast 4 rings on the 4 ends of the copper grating holders for the poles. He made the poles of acacia wood, and he overlaid them with copper. And he inserted the poles into the rings on the sides of the altar with which to carry it, and he made it hollow out of boards.
Okay, so Rashi actually has something to say about this at this point.
Okay, so hollow out boards means hollow, and similarly we find the words, and its thickness was 4 fingers hollow. Hollow out boards, the boards of acacia wood were placed on all sides, and the hollow was in the middle.
Okay, so the further commentary on this one, with regard to hollow, it was hollow in the center. I did find it. When vowelized, nevuv with a shava rather than the nevuv with a kamat, as in this verse from Jeremiah. The word is in the construct form. Nevuv, luchot nevuv, therefore means a hollow formed by panels. It does not mean hollow panels. And that's about all it has to say about that. And verse 8, Rashi has got a tremendous amount to say about this one. So,
And he made the washstand of copper and its base of copper from the mirrors of the women who had set up the legions, who congregated at the entrance of the tent meeting. So from the mirrors of the women who set up the legions, the Hebrew word Bamarot Hatzuvot is the Israelite women owned the mirrors, which they would look into it when they adorned themselves. Even these mirrors did not hold back from bringing as a contributions towards the Mishkan. But Moses rejected them because they were made for temptation. The Holy One, blessed be his name, said to him, accept them, for these are more precious to me than anything, because through them the women set up their legions to the children they gave birth to in Egypt. When their husbands were weary from back-breaking labor, they, the women, would bring them food and drink and give them to eat. Then the woman would take the mirrors, and each would sit herself with her husband in the mirror, so she would seduce him with the words, saying, I am more beautiful than you. And this way they aroused their husband's desire, and they would copulate with them, conceiving and giving birth there, as it is said under the apple tree, I aroused you. This is the meaning of what is Bimarot Hatzuvot, the mirrors of those who set up the legions. From these mirrors, the washstand was made its purpose to make peace between man and wife, bringing a drink for water that was in the washstand to a woman whose husband had.
Right here.
Gotta go up a little bit.
Got it
Where
now?
am I? Whose husband? Okay. The water would test her, and the other destroy her, or to prove her innocence. You should know that they were actually mirrors, because it is said, the copper of the weaving has 70 talents. And from that he made, but the washstand and its base were not mentioned there among the other things produced from the 70 talents. Thus you have learned that copper of the washstand was not of copper of the weaving. So did Rabbi Tahuna expound on the matter that and so did Onkelos render the mirrors of the woman, which is the Aramaic translation of marot, mirror. This is Haglinim, which render imatudot and the mirrors. So who congregated? It is to bring their donation.
Okay, so the further commentary on this one, let's see, going all the way back here, Rashi actually made up a lot of ground from what he didn't comment on before. According to this midrashic interpretation, Hatzavot of our verse is not a noun meaning the woman who congregated. Rather, it is a verb related to Zavot, legions,
Yes.
and means those who produce legions. With regards to that one that talked about the Song of Songs, the Shir HaShirim, the apple tree is an allusion to the fields where the women will go to their husbands. And that's from Tractate Shota, Folio 11b. With regard to the mirrors, it says marot is the plural of mare,
Yes.
which means vision or image. And mara, which has that meaning, is also mirror. Thus, our verse could have been understood as he made the kior of copper and its base of copper with images of those who congregated. That is, he decorated the kior with such images. Rashi proves that marot of our verse were objects having substance, such as mirrors, not images having no substance. Again, with regards to there's 7. The cure was not. You have learned that the copper of the cure was not from the copper of the offerings. The further commentary says some editions read Mishar HaNechoshet from the other copper. This reading is based on the Midrashic interpretation of Tenufa, as related to the Greek word nymphe, which means bride. Okay, that really didn't clear up anything, but okay, I'll go with that. Okay, so we are now on to verse, what's that, 9? And again, we got along, well, actually, pretty much the whole rest of the chapter to the end of the parsha with no commentary. So
Okay.
have at it.
So, and he made the courtyard of the southern side. There were hangings for the courtyard of twisted fine linen, 100 cubits. And their pillars were 20, and their sockets 20 of copper, the hooks of the pillars and their bands of silver. And for the northern end, 100 cubits, their pillars 20, and their sockets 20 of copper, and the hooks for the pillars and their bands of silver. And for the western side, hangings 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10, the hooks for the pillars and their bands of silver. And for the eastern end, 50 cubits. Their hangings on the shoulder were 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And on the second shoulder, on either sides of the gate of the courtyard, there were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the courtyard all around were twisted fine linen. And the sockets for the pillars were copper, and the hooks of the pillars and their bands were silver, and the overlay of their tops was silver, and they're banded with silver, and all the pillars of the courtyard. And the screen of the gate of the courtyard was the work of an embroiderer. He made it out of blue, purple, and crimson wool, and twisted fine linen, 20 cubits long, and its height and the width was 5 cubits, corresponding to the hangings of the courtyard. So corresponding to the hangings of the courtyard, like the dimension of the hangings of the courtyard.
Okay, so further commentary on this one says that it's clear from the context of the second verse that Gilionim are concrete objects, since the targum of that word is essentially identical to the word Ancel uses for merod. In our verse, we see here too that he understands that merod is a concrete object. That actually belonged to the previous comment, but related to bring their contribution or corresponding to the. No, actually, that is not. There's no further commentary on that until we get to what, verse 18. Okay, so we're on to 19.
And bring it up so I can read the rest. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets were 4 of copper, and their hooks of silver, and their overlay of their tops and their bands were silver. And all the pegs of the Mishkan and of the courtyard all around were made out of copper. These are the numbers of the Mishkan of the testimony, which were counted at Moses' command. This was the work of the Levites under the direction of Itamar, the son of Aaron, the Kohen. So these are the numbers. In this Pasha, all the weights of the donations for the Mishkan were counted, of silver, of gold, of copper, and all its implements for all its work were also counted. The Mishkan, and the Hebrew word Hamishkan, the word Mishkan is written twice. This alludes to the temple, which was taken as security, Mishkan, for the two destructions, for Israel's iniquities. The temples were taken as collateral for Israel's sins. When Israel fully repents, the third temple will be built. That so says in the Midrash. The Mishkan of testimony, the Mishkan of testimony for Israel, that the Holy One, blessed be his name, forgave them for the incident of the golden calf, for he caused his Shekhinah to rest among them in the Mishkan. The work of the Levites, the numbers, the accountings of the Mishkan and its furnishings, which is the work given over to the Levites in the desert to carry, to dismantle and to set up each person of his burden upon which he is assigned, as stated in the Parsha Naso. Under the direction of Itamar, he was appointed over them to deliver to each paternal family the work incumbent upon it. Each Levite family was assigned a specific job for the sanctuary.
Okay. So this would be, wow.
Any additional comments?
Yeah, no additional comments. Okay.
So Bezalel, the son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, had made all that the Lord had commanded Moses. So Bezalel, the son of Uri, had made all that the Lord commanded to Moses, that Moses has commanded him. It is not written here, but all that the Lord had commanded Moses, meaning that even in the things that the master Moses had not said to him, his Bezalel's view coincided with that what was said to Moses on Sinai. For Moses commanded Bezalel to first make the furnishing and afterwards the Mishkan. Rashi is not referring to the command to donate the materials for the Mishkan and its furnishing, since on the contrary, the Holy One, blessed be, he commanded the opposite in Parshat Teruma. First, God commanded them to make the furnishings, the table, the menorah, the curtains, and afterward he gave the command to make the planks, the Mishkan, whereas the command of our teacher Moses, may he rest in peace, at the beginning of he lists the Mishkan and its tent, and afterwards the furnishings. Rather, Rashi is referring to the command to the worker in what order they should work. You will find in the Parsha Ki-Tesa, where God commanded concerning the order of the Mishkan construction. So I have called by the name Bezalel, the first hand of the meeting is mentioned, and afterwards the furnishing. As far as the command of the Teruma to donate, to prepare what they would require for the Mishkan and its furnishing, was the difference does it make? What they donated first, does the order of the furnishing listed there is irrelevant. And the Safot, it says, the chapter entitled, if you ask, how do we know our teacher Moses, may he rest in peace, commanded Bezalel to do the opposite of what God had commanded Moses? We see Moses commanded them in opposite manner. Therefore, the text here does not state that Moses had commanded him. So
It would be
study this well. Bezalel responded in its common practice to first make a house and then to put the furniture into it. He said to him, "That is what I heard from the mouth of the Holy One. Blessed be his name." Moses said to Bezalel, "If you're in the shadow of God," Bezalel in Hebrew, which is the meaning of Bezalel's name, "you are right, for surely that is what the Holy One, blessed be he, commanded me." And so he did. Bezalel first made the Mishkan, and afterwards he made the furnishings. With him was Oholiab, son of Hashimach, of the tribe of Dan, a craftsman, a master weaver, and embroiderer in blue, purple, and crimson wool and linen. All the gold that had been used for the work and all the work of the gold of the weaving was 29 talents.
okay.
730 shekels, according to the shekel,
Okay,
to the holy shekel.
let's catch up here. Okay, we got to chapter 38, verse 20, which was the end of Parsha Vayechel, and now we are actually in the last Parsha of the Sefer Shemot, Parsha Pekudei. So we are on. We're almost. Let's get to the end of this chapter, and then we'll stop there, and we'll pick up on chapter 39 next week. I was wondering where all this commentary was coming from that I didn't see in my Rashi's commentary, and then it just dawned on me. Well, we're reading straight from the from what's on the screen here, and it doesn't differentiate between one parsha and the other. So, okay, so we are Rashi's commentary on 24.
So the manna of the holy was double the normal manna. Hence, the talent mentioned here was equal to 120 ordinary mannas, twice the normal talent, and the manna was 25 selas. Thus, a talent of the Holy One was 3,000 shekels. Therefore, the text counted out in detail all the shekels that were less than 3,000, since they did not amount to a talent, and thus they had to be enumerated separately. So, the silver of the community numbers was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels, according to the holy shekel.
Okay, so let me catch up with the additional commentary here. Going back to the Kikar. Yeah, really, it's okay. Let's go back to the previous one, which was 22. And with regard to, let's see, where is it? It's here somewhere. It's here somewhere, and it's right about
24.
Here. Okay. The Holy One, okay, for indeed this is what the Holy One, blessed is he, commanded me. The further commentary says, a reference to chapter 31, verse 7, where God refers to the tent of meeting before its furnishings. If God told Moshe to fabricate the Mishkan first and then the furnishings, why did Moshe reverse the order of God's command and tell Bezalel to make the furnishings first? In truth, the furnishings are more important than the Mishkan itself. This can be seen in the assignment of the carrying of the furnishings to the family of Kohat, which, according to the Zohar, is the prime line of Levi. For Moshe and Aharon are of the Kohat family, while the lesser task of carrying the Mishkan was assigned to the family of Merari. Thus, on the intellectual level, i.e., teaching and studying the laws of the Mishkan and its furnishings, the furnishings should come first. However, on the practical level of the actual construction of the Mishkan, which served to house and protect the furnishings, had to come first. Therefore, Moshe, whose responsibility was to teach how the Mishkan should be constructed, spoke on the theoretical plane and placed the furnishings first. But Bezalel, whose responsibility was to the actual construction, understood that as a practical matter, and the Mishkan must be built first. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's about it for the additional commentary. So no commentary on 25, so we go from 25 to 26. You already read 25, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we go to 26.
Yeah, 26.
One beka per head, that is half a shekel according to the holy shekel, for each one who goes through the counting, from 20 years old and upward, for 3,550 people. So beka, a split. This is the name of the weight of a half a shekel. For 603,000, this is how many Israelites were, their number equal this to after the Mishkan was erected, as it appears in the book of Numbers. Now, too, when they donated to the Mishkan, this is how many they were. The number of the half shekels of 600,000 people equals to 100 talents. Each one the equivalent of 3,000 shekels. How so? 600,000 halves of a shekel equals to 300,000 wholes, which equals to 100 talents. The additional 3,550 halves equal to 1,775 shekels.
Now we're going to do math. Rashi isn't content with doing just grammar and spelling and stuff like that. Now he's going to get into math. I'll tell you what, I would have hated to have been a student of Rashi. Okay, so let's see. With regard to the further commentary, with regard to this reference to the book of Numbers, the Rishonim often referred to the book of Numbers, commonly called Bamidbar, as a book of Vayedaber, naming for its first word. And that's about all it has to say.
So 27. So 100 talents of silver we used for casting the sockets of the holy and the sockets of the dividing curtain. 100 sockets out of 100 talents, 1 talent for each socket. So for casting, letzeket renders, where am I at? Le'atna, which is to pour. The sockets of the holy, the sockets of the planks of the Mishkan, which were 48 planks, which had 96 sockets, in addition to the 4 sockets of the dividing curtain, equaling to 100 were silver. But for all the rest of the sockets, the Torah prescribed that they were made out of copper.
Okay, so the further commentary, and basically the further commentary on this actually has to do with the actual socket, and saying that each beam stood in 2 sockets, so that you wouldn't get the idea that the leg of the beam was split in half, so that when the 2 beams came together, it formed 1 foot, and there would be 1 socket under it. And it says specifically each beam had 2 sockets under it.
So 28. And out of one of the 1,775 shekels, he made hooks for the pillars, and he covered their tops. He covered their tops 400 shekels. From that he made the sockets of the entrance to the tent of the meeting, the copper altar, the copper grating upon it, and all the implements of the altar.
Okay, did you skip the 28's commentary?
Okay, and he covered their tops, the tops of the pillars with them, which the remaining shekels for concerning all of them it is written, and he covered their tops, and their bands were all silver.
Okay, not really any further commentary on that one. So where are we at here?
Okay.
31?
29.
29. Okay.
The copper of the waving was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. From that he made the sockets of the entrance to the tent of meeting, the copper altar, the copper grating upon it, and all the implements of the altar, and the sockets of the courtyard all around, and the sockets of the gate of the courtyard, all the pegs of the Mishkan, and all the pegs of the courtyard all around.
Okay, and that brings us to the end of chapter 38. And that's where we're going to stop for this evening. And we'll pick up with chapter 39 on the next time. Today's Wednesday. Okay, so Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern is the and daylight savings time, whatever. It's going to be Kabbalat Ma'ariv Shabbat service on Shabbat at 10 a.m. Eastern is Shachrit Musaf. Back here again on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern is Zeta Story Corner. And then on Tuesday at 8 p.m. is or 9 p.m. if you're in the Dominican.
Yep.
Is the rabbis discuss, and then right back here on next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for the Torah study in depth, and we'll pick up at chapter 39. So I want to thank everybody for being here this evening. Let me find out what I got going here. And Rabbi Ancel, I'm going to turn you down, but stay on, and we'll be back. Thank everybody for being here. Let's see. Thanks, Rabbi Craig, for being here and putting all the comments in the chat room. And then Zadia Davidi joined us, and let's see who else Simcha. Simcha had joined us, and of course Marshall was here, and Rabbi Craig. And those watching in the background, there's, 5 or 6 of them watching in the background. Thanks for being here. Until the next time, we will simply say, Laila Tov.